I didn't realize I was the help until I turned 17. Before that, I thought I was just a responsible daughter. That's what my aunt always called me. You're the responsible one, honey. You're such a blessing. She said that while handing me a basket of dirty laundry and telling me to hurry before it mildewed. She wasn't really my aunt. None of them were. They were my mom's second cousins or distant uncles or old friends who became family through grief and paperwork. I was 6 when my mom died in a car accident. No father in the picture. They took me in. Everyone said how lucky I was. How generous they were. And at the time, I believed it. I lived in a house with 6 other kids, all theirs. Real kids. Blood. I was the only one who didn't get tucked in at night. Didn't get birthday parties. Didn't get school photos paid for. First I thought I was just older than the rest, more independent. But then I noticed the difference. Their clothes were new. Mine were hand-me-downs. They had packed lunches with snacks and notes. I had half a sandwich in foil. They had after-school activities. I had chores. By 13 I could cook a full dinner for 8, do laundry without shrinking anything, clean a bathroom until it sparkled and babysit toddlers for hours. 14 I started waking up before everyone else to pack the kids' lunches. At 15 I wasn't allowed to go to prom because we need someone to stay with the little ones. 16 I stopped asking. They never hit me. Not with fists anyway. But they hit in other ways. Words like, don't be ungrateful. You think the world owes you something because your mom died? We could have left you in foster care. That one always landed. So I worked. And worked. And worked. I cleaned up after their messes. Cooked their meals. Raised their kids. I was the responsible one. The helpful one. The good girl. Till one day I wasn't. It was a Friday. I was 17 and had just gotten accepted into a local community college. I hadn't told them yet. I'd applied in secret. Worked weekends babysitting and cleaning houses in the neighborhood to save up. It wasn't much, but I had a dream. Just a little one. A dorm room. A job. A door I could lock. I came home that day to find the toddler had spilled red juice all over the carpet. Nobody had cleaned it. They were waiting for me. I said, can't someone else do it for once? I just got home. Aunt Marlene looked at me like I had slapped her. Excuse me. I'm tired. I had school, work, and she cut me off. We all have responsibilities. You think you're too good for this house now? I should have stopped. Should have nodded and cleaned the damn carpet. But I was tired. And for once, I wanted to be a teenager. I got into college, I said. Silence. Community. Just a 2-year program. But if I get a job and take out loans, I can. You think you're leaving? The words hung in the air like smoke. Thick. Suffocating. You can't just leave, she said. This is your family. Family. The word turned to ash in my mouth. That night, I lay in bed, a mattress on the floor in the unfinished basement, and stared at the ceiling. Conversation played on repeat in my head. How she told me I owed them. That I needed to pay back what they'd done for me. That I wasn't ready to be on my own. That the world would eat me alive without them. I stared at the cinderblock walls and thought, what if they're wrong? Plan came together slowly. I didn't have much. A few dollars. Some clothes. My acceptance letter. But I had enough. The real challenge was getting out without a scene. Because if they saw my bag, they'd stop me. So I waited until a Sunday morning when they all went to church. They didn't let me go anymore. Said someone had to stay home in case the plumber or UPS came. He never did. I packed everything I owned into one duffel. Left a note on the washing machine. Thank you for everything. I need to live my own life now. Please don't try to find me. Then I walked. 4 miles to the bus station. 1 ticket. 1 bag. 1 dream. College wasn't easy. I slept in a shelter for the first month. Ate from vending machines. Showered at the YMCA. But it was freedom. It was mine. No screaming kids. No guilt trips. No fake aunts telling me how much I owed them. I got a part-time job cleaning offices. Enrolled in night classes. Eventually found a roommate, a girl who'd aged out of foster care and knew exactly what it felt like to start over from nothing. She had scars too. But we never talked about them. We just bought cheap pizza and painted our walls whatever color we wanted. For the first time in my life, no one was watching me wash dishes. No one told me how much I cost. No one expected me to save them. 3 years passed. I graduated with an associate's in business admin. Nothing fancy. But enough to land an office job. Enough to afford my own studio apartment. Enough to feel like a person. I changed my number. Blocked every family member I knew. Thought I was safe. But then, last week, they found me. They showed up at my job. It was a Tuesday. I was typing reports at my desk when the receptionist called. Sarah? There's, some people here asking for you. My stomach dropped. I hadn't used that name in years. At work, I went by Elise. My middle name. I stood up slowly, heart hammering, walked out front, and there they were. Aunt Marlene. Uncle Robert. And Cousin Tiffany, who used to scream when I didn't cut the crust off her sandwiches. Tiffany smiled like we were old friends. Marlene's expression was something between pity and judgment. Robert didn't say a word. He just stood there, arms crossed, staring me down. "What are you doing here?" I asked, voice tight. Marlene stepped forward. "We just want to talk, sweetheart. You look so thin. Are you eating?" "I'm fine. You need to leave." She tilted her head. "You don't have to be like this. We're family." That word again. Family. I turned to the receptionist. "Please call security." Tiffany's smile vanished. Robert shifted like he might move forward, but Marlene grabbed his arm. "Just listen," she hissed. "We need to talk to you privately." I shook my head. "We're not doing this." I left for a reason. Security came. They left. But the damage was done. My hands shook the rest of the day. I couldn't focus. Couldn't eat. All I could hear was Marlene's voice in my head. "We're family." That night they messaged me. Somehow they'd found my new number. Blocked again. Then came the email. "You're making a mistake. We raised you. You wouldn't be anything without us. Just come for dinner. We can talk." Delete. Then a message from a cousin I barely knew. "Hey. Aunt Marlene's crying every night. What you're doing is cruel." Cruel. Like it wasn't cruel to raise me like a housemaid. To tell me I was lucky just to have a roof. To use my grief like a leash. I almost let it go. Almost. But then came the voicemail. From her. "I don't know why you're doing this. For everything we did for you. We could have left you with strangers, you know? But we took you in. You were our daughter. And now you're acting like we abused you." Click. That word echoed. Abused. I hadn't said it out loud before. Not even to myself. But in that moment, hearing her say it with that sharp accusatory tone, something in me snapped. 'Cause it was abuse. Emotional. Psychological. The kind you can't photograph or put in a police report. They didn't hit me. They erased me. Piece by piece. Until I wasn't a person, I was a tool. I called my old roommate. The one who aged out of foster care. "Did they ever come looking for you?" I asked. She was quiet. Then, "Yeah. When I got into college. They didn't want me, just control. People don't chase what they love. They chase what they think they own." That line hit me hard. They didn't love me. They owned me. Or thought they did. And now, seeing me free, working, surviving, thriving, they couldn't stand it. So I wrote back. One message. "You don't get to take credit for surviving what you put me through. Leave me alone." Then I changed my number again. But they didn't stop. The next week I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I knew that handwriting. Marlene. Inside was a Bible verse about forgiveness. A photo of me as a child. And a check for $200. There was a note scribbled on the back. "Start over. Come home. We'll make it right." I ripped it in half and threw it away. But I couldn't sleep that night. Because part of me still wanted to believe they meant it. That maybe they had changed. That maybe I was overreacting. Ungrateful. The word that haunted me most. But I wasn't. And I knew it. The final straw came a month later. I was walking home when I noticed a car slowly creeping behind me. I turned around. Robert. Driving alone. He didn't say anything. Just followed. I cut through a grocery store. At the other side. He was gone. That night I filed a restraining order. The officer took my statement like it was routine. But I could tell what he was thinking. She's an adult. What's the big deal? And that's the thing. People don't see this kind of story as dangerous. There are no bruises. No police reports. Just a girl trying to get free from people who call themselves her family. But it's real. And it's terrifying. 'Cause control doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes it's a whisper that follows you into adulthood. A voice that says, "You owe us. You belong to us. You'll never make it without us." But they're wrong. I'm 22 now. I have a full-time job. My own apartment. A lock on the door. A shelf full of food that I bought myself. And sometimes when I wake up early, I still reach for the baby monitor, the one they made me sleep with to listen for crying toddlers. Old habits. But I don't hear crying anymore. Just quiet. Kind I earned. I didn't know you could get sued for cutting contact. But apparently you can if you grew up with people like mine. It started with a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peeked through the peephole and saw a man in a suit holding a clipboard. When I opened the door, just a crack, he said calmly. "Sarah Thompson?" I froze. That name again. Nobody used that name anymore. I hadn't used it in years. "I'm from the office of Martin and Phillips. You've been served." He handed me a thick envelope. No emotion. Just routine. And walked away. Inside, a letter. A notice of intent. A lawsuit. They were suing me. The grounds? Emotional damages. Defamation. Breach of verbal agreement. They claimed I'd promised to support the household financially since they'd raised me. That I was spreading lies about the family. That I owed them for years of care and housing. I sat on the floor and read it twice. Then I laughed. Out loud. For the first time in weeks. 'Cause suddenly it was so obvious this wasn't about love or forgiveness or closure. It was about control. They couldn't shame me into coming home. Couldn't guilt me. Couldn't stalk me into submission. So now they were trying the legal route. I didn't have a lawyer. But I had someone better, a woman named Jill. She ran a local nonprofit for survivors of family exploitation. I'd gone to one of their support meetings a few months earlier, just sat in the back, didn't say much. But she remembered me. When I called, she came over that night with coffee and a pen. They want to scare you, she said. They're not expecting you to fight back. I showed her the papers. She read them in silence, then scoffed. This is garbage. They don't have a case, but they filed it. Anyone can file something, she said. Doesn't make it valid. She leaned in. They want to drain you. Time, money, peace of mind. They want to make you feel like freedom was a mistake. I swallowed hard. But it wasn't, she added. You're not alone. We filed a response. Denied all allegations. Included documentation of the unpaid labor I'd done for years. The shelter records. My college financials. The restraining order. It didn't make it go away yet, but it made it clear. I was done being quiet. That same week, a friend convinced me to talk to a therapist. Her name was Dr. Lynn. Late 40s. Sharp eyes, soft voice. The first session, I didn't say much. I told her I was tired. That I just wanted to feel safe. She nodded. You were groomed for servitude, she said gently. They taught you that your value was in how much you gave and how little you asked for. I stared at her. No one had ever said it like that before. They called it love, I whispered. They lied. The court hearing was set for a Thursday morning. I didn't sleep the night before. I had this nightmare where I was back in that basement, folding laundry while everyone else laughed upstairs. But when I woke up, the sun was pouring in, and no one was shouting my name. I got dressed, wore the blazer I'd bought after my first paycheck, and went to court. They were already there. Marlene in a black dress, Robert in his usual scowl, Tiffany pretending not to see me. They looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just smaller. I sat beside Jill, hands shaking, heart pounding. But I sat. When the judge asked for opening remarks, their lawyer went first. Spoke about broken promises and family betrayal. I didn't look at them. Not once. Then Jill stood up. Your Honor, she said calmly, my client was a child taken in under the guise of family. She was denied affection, financial support, and autonomy, and instead was tasked with raising other children, managing a household, and deferring her education. She left when she became of age, not out of spite but self-preservation. The judge raised an eyebrow. Do you have documentation of this? Jill slid a folder forward. Photos, emails, college records, the shelter intake form, and my affidavit, the truth I had finally written out in black and white. It wasn't a long hearing. The judge looked unimpressed. This seems less like a legal grievance, he said slowly, and more like a family disagreement. Then he turned to them. Do you have documentation of any formal agreement that Ms. Thompson would financially support your household? Silence. Any written contract? No, Your Honor, their lawyer admitted. Then this case is dismissed. Immediately. Outside the courthouse, they followed me. Marlene caught up first. You really think this makes you better than us? No, I said. It just makes me free. She blinked, as if she hadn't expected me to answer. Robert muttered something under his breath, but Jill stepped between us. You have no legal or moral claim on her, she said. Let her go. They didn't say anything else. Just turned and walked away. I watched them go, and didn't feel sad. Didn't feel angry. Just nothing. Which for me was everything. After the court threw it out, I expected things to get quiet. But the silence that followed was louder than anything. No more emails. No more letters. No one showed up at my door again. They finally got the message. Or maybe they just gave up. Either way, I was free. But being free and feeling free, that's different. For a while, I kept waiting for the next attack. Jumped at shadows. Avoided answering unknown numbers. Still checked behind me when I walked home. I'd spent so long waiting for the other shoe to drop, I didn't know how to exist without fear. Dr. Lynn said that was normal. You weren't just overworked, she said. You were conditioned. Taught to believe that love was conditional. That safety was earned and could be taken away. I hated how right she was. But little by little, I started letting go. It wasn't a big, dramatic moment. No fireworks. Just a series of small decisions. I bought a couch. Not a used one, new. Picked the color. Assembled it myself. Hung up art that I liked. Not pictures of smiling families in forced group photos, but prints of stars, moons, and deep forests. I got a cat. His name's Mercury. He follows me from room to room like he's making sure I don't disappear. I started cooking for fun again. Not for obligation. Not for praise. Just for me. A few months after the lawsuit, Jill invited me to speak at one of the survivor meetups. I almost said no. But something in me itched. Not guilt. Not fear. Something else. Like I owed it to the girl I used to be. So I said yes. It was held in the back of a library, folding chairs, warm tea, low voices. No judgment. No pity. Just women like me. I told my story. Not all of it, but enough. About the basement. The chores. The fake thank yous. About the night I left. About the check with the Bible verse. About the lawsuit. And when I finished, I expected blank stares. Instead, there was silence. Then someone, a woman in her 30s, whispered, "That's exactly what happened to me." Then another said, "They called me ungrateful too." And then the tears came. Not because I was sad, but because I wasn't alone. Through that, I kept coming back. Not every week, but enough. I helped organize rides for girls who had no cars, helped file restraining orders, made spreadsheets of safe landlords and shelters with real openings, not the fake ones that say, "Call back in a month." We made something together. Not a replacement for family. Something better. A network. We called it the second circle. 'Cause sometimes the people you choose are stronger than the ones you were born to. Dr. Lin asked me once, "What would you say to your younger self if you could go back?" I thought for a long time. And then I said, "You were right to want more. You were right to run. Love isn't supposed to cost your whole life." Last month, I got a letter. No return address. Inside, a photo of my old family at some birthday party. All smiling. All pretending like nothing happened. No note. No signature. Just the photo. I burned it. And then I made brownies. 'Cause Mercury likes the smell. Last week, a girl showed up to one of our meetings. 16. Quiet. Thin as a stick. She didn't speak at first. Just sat in the back, arms crossed tight. Then, near the end, she looked up and whispered, "They call me selfish when I cry." Every woman in that room turned toward her. Not with shock, but recognition. She looked at me and asked, "Is it okay if I don't love them back?" I nodded. "It's more than okay," I said. "It might be the first true thing you ever do." My family erased me. Told the community I was a liar. Said I was unstable. Said I betrayed them. They deleted my name from photo albums. Told their neighbors I ran away because I couldn't handle discipline. Fine. They can erase me from their tree. 'Cause I've planted my own. And it's growing.